Welcome to the Junk Connoisseurs with Alan, Jordan, and Alex. All right, so where was Lori? You said
Scotland.
Scotland. That's cool.
Yeah,
Eh?
she had
Canada, but
her friend had a conference there, and she invited to say, hey, my work's paying for room for 3 days. Just come over, hang out, and that ballooned into 4 days of travel and 5 days of screwing around there. So it was a 9-day trip, and that is a really long time
to be on solo dad duty.
Yeah. Well, and I've got high maintenance children, so that
Yeah.
when you have to make every meal.
Yeah.
Right now, your kids are doing a podcast like, our dad is so high maintenance. It was a long time to take care of him for 9 days.
That would be an odd podcast for a 5-year-old. I could see Jackson doing that, though. He's 8.
Yeah. Yeah.
He loves to talk, so this could be a career path for him.
I can relate. Like, I'm very excited for my child to develop an inner monologue and use it a lot. Oh, he likes to talk. I mean, yeah, go ahead. Go ahead and say it. Jordan, I know what you're thinking.
Oh, no, you know how to shut up occasionally. It doesn't happen all that often, but we know that you know how.
Yeah.
Because you haven't been thrown out of court. Because if you don't know when to
That we
shut
know
up,
of.
the judge will do it enough times that he gets disbarred, maybe?
Generally speaking, the judge is not, you're not going to get disbarred, but the judge may charge you with contempt. One of the guys I worked with,
Ooh, that's a fun thing I keep hearing about in the news.
one of the guys I worked with when I was in law school told me about the first trial he ever had, which was some sort of criminal trial. I think it was a DWI, and he was a baby lawyer, and he did his closing argument, and he actually got out a pocket-sized copy of the Constitution and lit it on fire in the courtroom, and won the trial. And the judge said that it was a bench trial, which means there's no jury. The judge, after he rested, the judge was like, Mr. Leonard, that was a fantastic summation. You've got a real future ahead of you, but I hope you brought your toothbrush because you're spending the next 2 days in the pokey. You do not pull that Bush League stuff in my courtroom. But he got his client off.
And then proceeded to spend 2 days in jail.
Mm-hmm.
Wow.
This is interesting. This was the only law firm where I could be said to be the short, scrawny, quiet one. He had played tight end collegiately, and was just enormous, and had a he had a giant personality, a wife with a giant personality, and a secretary with a big personality, and it's like, oh God.
Brought to you by the Red Swingline Stapler. If you take my stapler, I'll set the building on fire. So before coming up here 45 minutes ago, I was like, I'm going to freshen up. I'm going to take a shower real quick. I've been out working in the shop. Everything's fine until I went to put a little bit more of the peppermint oil Castile soap. I put a little in my hand, and I snapped the cap. That's the little flip top on it, snapped shut, and it just splattered a fan, as far as I can tell, directly into my eyes. And I really wished I'd been wearing safety goggles at that moment. Because my eyes are still burning.
I mean, they're, now that you mention it, they're pretty red. So
Yeah.
If they're red, that's why. And when I blink, I still feel it. Ugh. It was, fortunately, Maggie had come back in the house, and I started sputtering and trying not to scream in agony. And she's like, "What's going on?" I was like, "I got the stuff in my eye." And she's like, "Okay." And I mean, you get soap in your eye, it burns.
Right, but peppermint oil was
oily soap. So it just kept burning and kept burning, and she's like, what did you get in your eye? And I told her, she's like, "Oh yeah, that's bad. Let me go get you some milk. I think that might help." And I said, "I'm not thirsty." Gotcha. And she came back, and I think the milk did help calm it down a fair amount.
Interesting.
Fortunately,
so milk was not a bad choice in this case.
It was not a bad choice in this case.
more related to cars than that, but similar. And I may have talked about this before, but one time I was cleaning a carburetor on the back porch of my house, and I was young and stupid and was not wearing safety goggles.
It was 2 weeks ago.
It was longer.
I have definitely done it since and not sprayed carb cleaner into my eyes and been like, I should go put on goggles. But I didn't do it initially, which was...
We probably need to get a partnership going and some branding going with a brake cleaner company that puts a little Visine in with it. Because I don't think that would affect the carb cleaning abilities, but it would feel a lot better eventually, inevitably when it shoots in your eye, if it had a little...
It's a really good idea.
Yeah.
Do you think CRC would do that? They've got all that clean line of products.
And just not even that, it's just have another can that's just like brake clean with a little straw and everything to immediately just blast your eyes clean after you're done.
I think they have those, don't they?
Eye wash, they have those.
Yeah,
it's actually not a bad thing to have in a shop.
But is it aerosol?
No, it's just it's like
High
a squeeze.
pressure.
It's a squeeze bottle of saline solution with an eye-shaped socket. You're just
Yeah,
like,
that's not nearly as funny as a little red straw on the end of a high pressure can. Okay, that feels better.
Well, because I'm picturing oh, I got it in my eyes, and you reach for the can, which has already got the straw installed, and you bring it up towards your face and
jam the straw.
forget that the straw is 6 inches long, and all of a sudden you now have some sort of cleaner or whatever in your eyes and a straw.
And a straw.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We're onto something here. This is good
or
branding.
for me, what I would do is I always steal the straw. When I lose the straw for the one I need, I always steal the straw from the least used can, which would probably be the eye wash. So I would then just have
I guess that's part of the joke
Yeah.
is you don't need the straw. You actually just need a wide pattern. Actually, you just need a squeeze bottle full of saline solution like you started the conversation with.
See, I thought that was going a different direction, though, and he was going to say, and then when I get done with the straw, I take it off of the WD-40 and put it back on whatever cleaner it was. So then he would...
I am not that guy. No, I
But
lose
then
that straw too.
Oh,
but
sure,
then you spray
sure.
WD-40 into your eye
Correct.
first,
Yes.
followed by cleaner.
Fortunately,
But your eyes are well lubricated at that point. They no longer creak and squeak when you move them around.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, they just place all of the water that's literally located in your eye to help you.
See, I only know this because I actually want to buy an eye wash. I wear contacts, and if you've ever dripped anything in your eyes when you wear contacts, it basically immediately slides behind the contact, and the contact is like, oh, now you can. It really hurts. So you have to dig a piece of plastic out of your eye first. So you just run upstairs with one eye shut, grab the contact solution, and just start hosing your face down.
You know how they have fire suppression systems for race cars?
I like where this is going.
Yeah, I think we need
Or-
eye flush systems
or-
for.
We could just wear goggles, but
But
do nothing.
but they do nothing, yeah.
Often
Damn.
they do nothing. All these reasons not to wear goggles. We put on our eye protection that doesn't have any physical protection.
It's
it
just
just has a bunch of
windshield
squirters,
squirters
nozzles, micro
with a
nozzles.
saline tank behind your head. You're like, all right, I'm
And
ready for anything.
We're waiting to get sprayed in the eye with carburetor cleaner. Like, come on. Psst. Oh, that one went. Oh, it didn't spray back.
Who makes this
Oh,
product?
that
Oh,
one
just went up
didn't
my nose.
Well, it's the
like
parent
cancer.
company of Bolt Glue.
Acme?
Acme.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, that'd work.
This sounds like a product that Acme would make.
We could put the Wile E. Coyote could be our test engineer for that.
/ spokesperson.
Yes. Holding up
Never
signs.
says anything.
But he holds up
terrible. Yeah.
signs. In a few episodes, he actually talked.
Oh, he does. Where they do it's never
Like-
with the Roadrunner though. It's with the dog, where he's like chasing the chicken. Morning,
that.
Sam. Morning, Ralph. And
Which,
they're
near
clocking
as I
out.
can
Yeah.
tell, they live
a
in
one-off,
alternate
yeah.
universes.
Yeah.
Yeah. Same character, kind of, but different.
Welcome to Saturday morning cartoons from your youth with the Junk Connoisseurs.
Well, do we have any shout-outs?
Yeah, we did get an email. Thanks, Joshua. It was a link to a Top Gear segment about the Jensen Interceptor, and it is fantastic.
I assume that's as a result of our mentioning it when talking about the Sunbeam Tiger
Correct.
being used maybe in some law enforcement. And yes, that is a good clip. We ought to put it in the show notes here. So if you're watching this, you probably see a link there. I'll try to put that.
Yeah, help me remember to do
Yeah,
that.
we will try to put that in there. That's good. I received a picture from a listener and friend of a Johnny Lightning brand diecast Cadillac Alante.
Oh, yeah.
That was thanks, Jake, for sending that in. I think he saw that at the store and thought of us after listening to the Alante episode way back.
I want to ask if he bought it, but just like the regular Cadillac Alante, I'm going to guess that nobody bought
It's a
it.
waste of money. No, if you spend any money on a Cadillac Alante, I feel bad that we had to buy bandwidth to discuss the Cadillac Alante. I'm a little ashamed. You didn't think it was possible, but I'm a little ashamed.
No, I really did not think it was possible for you to feel that particular feeling. Also, is the Cadillac Alante really what we're going to call our low point?
No.
Not even close.
That's a good question. What is the low point we've discussed so far? What is the car where it's just like not just no, but hell no, you couldn't give me one?
Well, you reacted pretty strongly to the Chevette. You said, hell no, when I asked if you would buy one.
I would not spend money on one. I don't think.
And I know Alex is not going to like this, but I think you might get it. I would rather have a Citation than a Chevette.
Yeah,
Yeah.
no, that's what you guys said.
Yeah.
I listened to him recently. Well, the Citation one. No, I listened to the Chevette one recently, and that's exactly, yeah.
Like if I were forced, like the automotive hair shirt, if I had to drive the worst Chevette or the worst Citation, I'd probably pick the worst Chevette, I think. But if you gave me the opportunity, it's like, hey, would you like this corpulent slut Chevette, or would you like an X11 Citation? I'd like, oh, give me the X11 Citation, please.
Yeah. Well, because the Chevette was that was it. This Chevette here is identical to every other Chevette that was ever made in the United States or for the American market, except for like 2 options. And both of those options were absolute garbage. So there's just nothing there.
Yeah.
We have the list.
I was going to scroll through a little bit.
Yeah.
I'll pick out some bad ones.
Oh yeah. No, this is good.
Yeah, so the Citation was our first episode.
Uh-huh.
The Yugo.
I'd
take a Yugo, I
over
think.
both of those.
Yeah.
Because the Yugo is garbage, but they actually have. They're apparently rather fun to drive with some minor modifications. Because they just don't weigh anything.
I don't think the Avante is a contender. The Avanti is a contender.
No, I'd spend actual money on that. I mean, it might be for you guys. I don't know.
It's
It is
not
an
a contender for
acquired
bad.
taste cosmetically, and I get that. So
No, it's weird, but not inoffensive.
No,
it's not offensive.
It's not on the list of bad ones. The Fiero, wouldn't vote for the worst one, but it's certainly a lot of people in the world would not
yeah, they're wrong.
want one.
As far as us, I would pay good money for a Fiero. Well, I'd pay okay money for a Fiero.
The Honda Civic.
Come on, guys.
Yeah, no, that's not a bad
It's
car.
not that bad. I've
It's
only
not
One of
bad.
us
owned
was
one.
going to do something
The
dumb like that.
DeLoreans.
It just happened to be me.
The DeLorean's not bad.
No.
I mean, the DeLorean is bad, but we don't hate it.
But it's also not it's not a contender in this particular argument.
Exactly. AMC Eagle.
No.
I don't think we hate that
I'd
either.
actually buy one.
Yeah.
Exactly.
That's one of the-
Yeah, they're kind of cool. They're super dorky, and I still love them.
And I mean, I'm skimming over the ones that I know are good, the Porsches and the Panteras
Yeah.
and some of the Chryslers. The Ford Pinto.
I almost stopped to look at one on the way home from the lake on Saturday because there's one south of Tipton that has been for sale forever.
Oh yeah,
And
I
it's
looked
sitting
at that
in the
one, too.
it's the black one. It's a wagon, porthole wagon.
Cruising wagon.
I think it's like $1,250.
Damn.
If I remember right, I stopped and
It's
messaged you guys
crusty.
one day. It's
Yeah.
it's really rough.
Yeah.
I drive past it. I've driven past it probably 8 times in the last 6 months or year, and yeah, it's pretty rough.
It's a contender in this particular discussion, though, I feel.
Yes, I agree with you on that. Episode 21 were some DSM something or others. That was what I noted as the models for that. So I think you guys probably like those ones, though.
Yeah.
You'd like one if you drove one.
I agree. I can't agree, but I think you're probably right.
Yes.
Yeah.
Didn't we see one recently for sale? I think
I mean, they made a ton of
a
them.
freaking laser. I think I shared it with you guys.
Yeah.
That might have been a front-wheel drive laser. You showed me a laser, but that was when it was still a Daytona.
I think most of the
Yeah.
a lot of the lasers were
Yeah.
either non-turbo or turbo front-wheel drive. I've seen.
I saw an all-wheel
very-
drive one the other day.
I know they
made
exist.
them. Not very many.
But I think it was a lot more likely for the Mitsubishi and the Eagle.
Yeah. Feels like a lot of Talons were all-wheel drive.
Yeah.
And you'd occasionally see an Eclipse. But yeah.
Well, I suspect that has more to do with the brand because,
Yeah.
the
Eagle.
Eagle.
The Eagle. It was all-wheel drive.
Well, Eagle Talon is an aggressive name. Plymouth Laser is dorky.
No, that's what the Pilgrims used to kill the Indians.
Is that? No,
Yeah, I don't know.
I
I'm
think-
going to shelve that joke.
I think probably the Pinto, the Chevette, the Citation, all three of ones that I have brought to the table are probably the contenders for the worst.
This podcast was your idea, so it makes perfect sense that you're the one who has the largest pile of trash available for to talk about.
I think we're hitting the split kind of nicely between the 1/3 of just this is garbage, but here are some interesting things about it.
Yeah.
This is an old car you've forgotten about, but is cool.
Yep.
And this is something everybody would like.
Yeah.
I think we're doing a nice job of splitting that overall.
Without really trying too hard. I try to bring the good one and the bad one in no particular order, and I just have a whole lot of fun poking fun at the bad ones, and I usually kind of want them, except for the Citation. And I think, as I said, I don't know if it made the final cut of our first episode, our pilot episode about the Citation, was if we can sit down and have an entertaining conversation about a Chevrolet Citation, this thing might have legs.
Sure.
Yeah.
And well, here we are at episode 41, I think.
That is what we're recording right now. Yep. Yep. And speaking of episode 41, do we have one picked out tonight, Jordan?
No, I forgot to do anything.
Uh-oh. Well, I guess it's more free association and beer, like our last episode.
No, I remembered I actually did research last week.
Excellent.
So it's vehicle. I know. You're shocked.
Is it a Mazda badged Ford Ranger?
No.
Guess what Jordan bought?
Yeah, I bought a B3000 thinking, it may have like a blown head gasket or something. Nope, it has a hole in the piston. So,
I've never in my life seen that.
I mean,
Not like that. I've seen them melt. I've seen holes in other things. I've just never seen like just a quarter-sized jagged hole in the middle of the piston.
Yeah.
the thing is, it ran really poorly, but it started up relatively easily and made enough power to drive onto the trailer. Which,
That says a lot for the
yeah,
3-liter Vulcan Ford engine.
apparently they're rather durable.
Yeah.
So I'm going to throw a piston into it and a timing set and some new gaskets and see how that goes. Hopefully it works. If not, I found one for $300. It's just a couple hours away. So we'll see.
And you're doing this for the purposes of the Gambler Rally
Yes.
locally, our local-ish or most local Gambler.
Yeah,
event.
it's a
Yes.
couple hours away, but it's not till September. So I got plenty of time to
ignore this until the end of August when he'll be like, I have a week, and then it's just mad thrash to get it together.
I need it to get out of my way. So it needs to run soonish.
We can pull it out of the way with the blue truck.
No, we can't because the blue truck's just going to get stuck in the damn yard.
Well, it's a well-thought-out, reasoned plan,
Yeah.
and I'm sure it will result in hilarity, so game on.
That part's probably true. The first thing you said seems like a lie.
So you're saying it's not a Mazda branded Ford Ranger then?
Oh, it's
The car you picked for tonight.
Oh,
for us
no,
to
no, no.
discuss.
It is
Okay.
not a. I've heard the term Branger a lot.
I like Branger.
Branger. Yeah, that's good.
Branger.
That way, when you do well at the rally, you can say, "That's right, I bring it."
Wow.
Run what you bring.
I'll bring you in when it gets time to do some livery. So then you can help me out with that. We'll bring some spray paint and
Okay.
make it fancy.
I don't get to spray paint it.
We can do it as a
Oh, you
podcast.
just looked at Alex, and I thought you were ignoring me. We never spray paint things together anymore, Jordan.
I mean,
What happened?
We had such a great hobby of it back in the day.
Back when we were a tag crew.
Yeah.
Railroad cars, overpasses.
That one church, that's why we stopped.
Yeah, well, God's going to kill me for sure now.
This isn't the reason. Yet again.
Please join us in the future for an episode we record after huffing paint for an hour or two.
Wait, you guys didn't huff paint before this episode?
No, I just got peppermint oil in my eyes.
I may have
You're doing it wrong.
breathed in some jet fuel being at the airport. Never know.
Can't melt steel beams.
So, this vehicle we're talking about tonight, was Lotus ever involved?
Yes, Lotus was involved.
Is it a Lotus?
I think
You
it
really
is.
have to pull all the fun out of this, don't you?
Did I get it? I was
Yeah.
not.
I mean, it was only a matter of time before we actually had a Lotus.
That's, yeah.
Yeah.
So, I don't know very many Loti. I think we talked about... Did we talk about one in the past?
Several.
We've never
mean,
talked about an
as a
actual
topic.
Lotus
Oh,
as a
no.
topic.
We talked about them in
An
the...
Esprit in the...
We did.
the
Carnival of
challenge.
Crap.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, in our elimination bracket, we talked about the Esprit.
Yep.
Okay.
Is it a rear-wheel drive or front-wheel drive vehicle?
Oh, if it was front-wheel drive, there'd only be the one option.
I know, that's why
It's not.
So it's not an Elan,
No.
or it's not the second Elan.
Yeah. No,
Okay. Is it the first Elan?
No, it's not the first Elan.
I really only know two, and the Elan wasn't one of them. And is it not the...
Just pick an E word and it's been a Lotus.
Can't remember.
I mean, they
the
have
one that we
pulled
talked
all
about
of
in
the pretentious ones out.
the really beautiful one that we talked about in the elimination bracket. What was that one?
The Esprit?
The Esprit. Is that the one we're talking about tonight? Okay,
Negative.
so the other one that I know the name of is an Elan.
Yeah, no.
It's not that one either?
Nope.
Good, because I don't know what it is.
Is it a number?
Yes, it's a number.
Does that number start with E?
Wait, does it start with super?
Some of them did.
Does that number start with super?
The word super is involved at points, but not exclusively.
Was
And
this
no,
built by
it's
several
not.
other companies in England after Lotus no longer built it?
Yes.
Is there a cottage industry of guys who build these in their garage?
You're really enjoying stretching
Oh,
this
it's so
out.
much fun. Yeah, this is like the
course there
reverse of
is.
what we normally do.
Yeah.
But until we say it, he can't move on.
That's
Is
fine.
it a Honda Civic?
It's quite possibly the least Honda Civic vehicle ever made.
I know what we're talking about here, and I don't know where all the different names came from on these. I've heard them called things like the Super 7, I don't know how to pronounce it.
Caterham.
Caterham. Caterham. A Caterham.
Caterham.
Caterham. What is it actually called, Jordan?
It's the original name is the Lotus 7
The Lotus 7.
because Lotus made a 1, a 2, a 3, a 4, a 5, a 6, and a 7, and then some more. He referred to one that started with E earlier. That would be the 11, which was the race car. Like they're all race cars. The 11 was insane. But
The 11 was a 7 with a swoopy fiberglass bodywork that actually had the aerodynamics that were better than a thrown brick.
right,
And also was about 2 feet tall.
Right, that's the part that's insane.
really short.
they're very tiny,
Yeah.
and they're one of my favorite cars. But that's not what we're talking about today.
But the 7 is a pretty small,
Yes.
open cockpit, what do you call it, roadster.
Yeah, that may actually imply too much about this car to call it a roadster. It's just
Okay.
sort of a sheet metal tub on wheels or fiberglass.
What
depending
they
on its
called
color.
it in post-war Britain was a special.
A special.
It was pretty common for hot rodders of the day to take a bigger car that had been wrecked, build a frame, and basically make a 2-seat open roadster body on this vehicle. And the Austin 7
Yep.
was the most common donor car because that was the most common car in England. But the Lotus 7 was well, I'll let Jordan tell it, but it was the natural evolution of that.
Yeah, so the Austin 7 was actually the first donor vehicle for a Lotus Mark 1 which then led to the 7. But
Okay.
so the Mark 1 was the running gear and suspension basics from an Austin 7, and it was stripped down into just a square tube frame with a simple body thrown over it, and it was used in British trials racing, where you do a hill climb on a muddy surface and you have to maintain forward movement in order to not get disqualified.
Oh, it's not where you're like bouncing on one tire from rock to rock.
No.
That's motorcycle trials. This is like an uphill tractor pull
Yeah, kind of.
with no sled.
So they still do it in these old, like, I'm sure they have different classes, but like I've seen many videos of people in 1940s, 50s,
Cool.
British cars running on 3-inch wide tires, and there's like 2 guys standing on the bumper jumping to keep it get it traction to go up the hill. And these cars are small, so the guys doing that are providing enough force. It's ridiculous. It looks so much fun. But that's what started the Lotus journey for Chapman.
Interesting.
And he was too light to be effective on the bumper,
So
he had to drive.
He had to drive. Yes,
He was a little dude.
tiny chap. So he started manufacturing these cars, and he was doing they were doing racing. He had clients. He was selling them as kits. So it would be a complete kit that you then go find yourself an Austin 7 or a Ford 100E or whatever the specific kit was built for. And you'd tear that car down and you'd put this one together. That's something that I actually didn't know when I started this, because obviously anybody who's looked into a Lotus knows that they're kits now. I didn't know a 7, sorry. I didn't realize that you could never go to a Lotus dealer and just buy a car. It came in a box and you had to put it together.
I think you could
Initially.
much later.
Yeah, like the Series 4?
Yeah, like late 60s, early
The
70s.
Series
back in
3
there.
it was is a maybe.
Yeah.
But like, and we'll get to this, but when Lotus got out of the 7 industry, they sold all of their kits to Caterham, whatever. There's probably a syllable in there I'm missing. So, I suppose we should start with the car itself. Originally, it was commissioned by a guy who owned a shoe company, and he wanted something to go racing in. So it was a Lotus 6, like chassis and drivetrain, and they put a Lotus 6 body styling, and they put the 9, which was a more well-sorted race car with a DDon rear suspension and a bigger engine and everything under it to make it more potent. So I think it went up a fair amount of horsepower. The suspension design was much more aggressive, and so that was sort of the originator for this particular thing. I was reading through all of this and was looking at the Mark 1 through 6, and it all just seemed kind of like an evolution. I saw many references to this guy, Edward Lewis, who commissioned this particular vehicle, and I don't know if it was just like this was the guy that kicked it in the butt to do the next step. But they got the commission on July 31st, and they gave that guy a race car on September 7th.
Okay.
Which, it's a real basic car, so whatever, but I just thought that was really interesting.
And they were using resources they were drawing from their parts
stuff that
bin.
they already had.
So I guess
It's still moderately impressive, 5 weeks.
definitely,
Yeah.
it's definitely impressive. I'm trying to think, how did they pull that off and coming up with rationalization
Right.
for that, and that's how I think.
And a lot of it is that, we're talking about the days when everything had a carburetor in it.
seatbelts weren't really a thing, and
Well, and
airbags were definitely not a thing.
it's a race car, so they didn't have to do any of that.
Yeah, okay.
That was back in the days when the theory was you would be safer if you were
So-
thrown clear.
Yes.
And not caught in the
Yeah.
ensuing
What
fireball.
year are we talking about again?
1957.
Yep, definitely we were fully in the thrown clear or jump free mindset times.
Just don't hit anything.
And so to back up a little bit, this was not sold as a road going car, or at least initially.
It was sold as a kit. I believe in England at the time you could make it a road going vehicle
Okay.
without much drama. And that was all I'm relatively confident in saying that was always the plan, is that these were built to be four-wheeled motorcycles that you could go compete with, but you could also just go cruise around if you wanted
Right.
to. I did see some things that referred to the 7 specifically as not being a race car. So it wasn't designed with the intent of being exclusively used for racing. Obviously, it's a Chapman product, so it was, but not everything that was conceived on it was planned for that purpose. So as the car got a little more age on it and it went through those 4 different series over the course of 16 years, they added some, well, I'm going to use this term loosely, luxury items.
Okay.
So,
Mirrors.
Yeah.
Wipers.
right, a windshield.
Ooh. Perish the thought. Such frippery.
I think maybe at some point they even added a heater. So, overall, ran from 16 years, 1957 to 73. This is a 2-seater vehicle exclusively.
Jordan, what's Alan doing? Are you getting...
Why are you
What are
behind
you
me?
doing? You're getting Tums. Okay.
I'm not kidding. I was just about to
House
can we
Tums.
take a break so I can walk out to my truck and get my Tums? And
then
then I
you
look
spy
over and
some.
there's some sitting on Jordan's desk. And I'm like, oh, thank God.
We're all men of a certain
Sweet
age.
relief. Ooh, are those pina colada?
Coconut.
Yummy. The Junk Connoisseurs are proud to make their very first political endorsement tonight. We're proud to offer our full support to the candidacy of Mr. Max P. Dingrods for Hazard County Sheriff. Friends, are you too bemoaning the slow decline of the manual transmission? Can they have that clutch pedal when they pry it from beneath your cold, dead foot? Max P. Dingrods has a solution. Not only will his election mean a chicken in every pot and a stick shift in every beater, it'll mean an extra manual transmission in the yard for every single Hazard County household. For too long, our law enforcement is concentrated on harmless bootlegging, while big automatic transmission got rich off kickbacks and slush funds. If you've had enough, like we have, vote Dingrods for sheriff this November.
4 more gears! 4 more gears!
Paid for by the Flatheads and Flathead Super PAC. Not a serious endorsement. Professional driver on a closed course. Consult your doctor if your candidacy lasts longer than 4 hours.
I'm a cheese bag, and I approve this message.
So it's a 2-seater vehicle exclusively, and if you've ever seen one, you understand. And if you haven't, Google Lotus 7. It's not quite as phallic as Ace and Gary's car from Saturday Night Live, but it's one of the possible inspirations for that vehicle.
Yeah.
So rear-wheel drive, manual only, particularly in the originals. We'll get into replicas later. So, as is typical, the internet has some conflicting information.
What? That's
Yeah.
the first time we've ever run across that on this podcast.
I know. It's amazing.
Tell us about it.
So, part of the reason it's conflicting is because it is a kit car. So, therefore, you really could put whatever you wanted in it. I'm sure that somebody, even though they were very much intended to have small British 4-cylinders in them. Somebody bought one and stuck a Jag straight 6 in it. Guarantee it happened.
Of course they did.
Yeah.
You would have done that.
I might have tried.
You might still.
It's a possibility. Honestly, this car with 120 horsepower is probably so much that it
It's probably pretty
doesn't
fun.
need more. So the original engines that were meant to go in there were 5 of them. The entire production run for this from Lotus was only 2,500 cars.
Okay.
So
Over 16 years?
16 years.
Wow.
Yeah,
Okay.
it's
So it was really a niche thing.
very much so. But the engine options originally from Lotus were intended as a couple of Ford units, a Cosworth unit that they worked on, a Coventry Climax, and a BMC A series. So the 1275 that was in like a Mini. The horsepower difference was 28 horsepower to 125 or so.
That was the Cosworth, I'm guessing.
Yeah, the Cosworth
Yeah.
twin cam. Though apparently you could get the A series up in like the 80 to 90 range. The
see
Kent,
that.
I think, was pretty
Similar.
hot.
Yeah.
The Ford side valve, which is a 1200 cc,
It's not
was
much.
like that's
Yeah.
the 28 horsepower
Yeah.
or so.
You'd get 50 out of that if you threw every trick in the book at it.
And the Coventry Climax is going to be in the same category because
Yeah.
that is primarily all the times that I have seen that engine mentioned. People are saying, "Go find a generator from that era
Yeah.
because it's going to be in it."
Or a forklift.
Yeah,
That was what Coventry Climax started building. And then they decided, well, we're going to go run in Formula One and build a V16. And they did, and it was amazing. So I don't know where that came from, but yeah.
they just had a good engineering team.
Yeah.
It doesn't really matter past that.
Water pumps. Like, they built all these industrial engines.
They built engines to run forever and
Yeah.
be dead reliable, not a lot of output.
But again, gas over there, expensive. Gas over here, cheap. So we had, big-ass 6-cylinder engines, and they were like, we're going to make it at 1,100 cc's, but it's going to spend 7,000 RPM all day long.
They made an 1100 cc V16.
That
Or are
might
you
have been
thinking of the
BRM.
Okay.
But yeah, they made Formula One engines later
Yeah.
on.
But okay, so you're saying that the Coventry
4-cylinder.
Climax will spin 7,000 RPM.
They're designed to run. Yeah, they're like anything in America that would spin 1,500 RPM and run all day would be spinning a lot faster and run all day
Uh-huh.
at a much smaller displacement.
Sure. So mostly we're 4 speeds. Some people use 3 speeds. It just depends on whatever your donor had originally. So here's a fun crossover that we've talked about prior. The Series 1 had an axle from, can anybody guess?
Is it something we've talked about on here?
Not as a topic, but as we have talked about this vehicle several times.
At that time, in the late 50s, it would have been a Morris Minor.
Actually, that might be right. I have it down as the Nash Metropolitan.
Yeah.
Same rear end.
I think so.
Anyway, I thought that was really funny.
Interesting, yeah.
Just because we've talked about the Nash Metro so many times, just because they're so dorky, and for some reason I find them interesting.
They are interesting.
Yeah. Mostly 4-wheel drums, but eventually they got front discs. So this was an original design by Chapman. So as we've talked about, he likes to do things a certain kind of way, and this is probably a really great example of that.
Simplify and add lightness.
Yep.
And be incredibly uncomfortable for anybody over 5'6".
I just realized this is the 3rd British car we've talked about in a row.
Cool.
Yeah.
We had to run out of American ones at some point.
Mental, innit?
So it is funny, though, that I brought one of the very few vehicles that's actually lighter than a Mini, though.
Yeah.
Because
Yeah,
the
lighter
original
than a-
weight for a Series 1 is under 1,000 pounds.
Wow.
Yeah, I've seen numbers anywhere from 950 to right at 1,000, and obviously, if you take out the steering wheel, it's gonna be a large percentage of the entire vehicle's weight. Because really, I guess I could just be like dry weight versus wet weight. So
Yeah.
if it takes 4 quarts of oil, that's like 10 pounds right there.
Yeah. Lotus 7s are hygroscopic. Little known fact.
Is that what it is? Yeah.
They only really work in dry climates. Otherwise,
Yeah.
they just turn into a sponge. Yeah.
Pack them away in desiccant.
It does make a really interesting crash though, because have you ever thrown a wet sponge at a concrete wall?
Yeah.
Like it is like the splash takes up a lot of the force. They actually don't need a cage.
Oh.
The water absorbs most of the force from the crash.
Okay. Yeah, that makes no. Just no. No.
I'll go back to my corner.
I think we need to follow this design.
Just build a car
design
out of,
exercise.
Build a car out of chamois.
We can probably get the ShamWow guy to be our spokesperson.
Yeah.
So apparently the BMC engine from the Mini was the lightest engine option.
Okay.
And some people say that car with the BMC engine in it was under 900 pounds. Which I guess makes sense, but geez, that's so light. Like, seriously, there's motorcycles that weigh more than that.
Yeah.
Well, there's not much to them. If you've the space frame is just 3/4 inch rectangular hollow stock, and if I remember right, like on the original Series 1.7, it was also a little too light.
Sure.
In that it was very flexible. Like it was.
Yeah.
It would that's why they got heavier. Is like, no, Colin, you need some reinforcement here. Because not only that, you couldn't ever predict what it was going to do, as it would basically turn into a big spring in a corner and would like bend and then take a set and then take a set and boing and then that's fun.
So, do you remember what a Lotus 7 looked like before today, Alex?
Yes.
Okay. Do you remember them having large clamshell front fenders?
Yes.
Okay. Apparently, those were for the American market.
Okay.
Which I found
Really?
Now,
bizarre.
Large clamshell. I don't know. What I'm thinking is more of an open wheel with like motorcycle fenders, but some of them.
So that's
Okay.
the clamshell fender. The kind of flowing goes back. I always think of them as having the cycle fenders, like the quarter fender that tracks the wheel and is like usually sprung with the wheel. I think it's attached to the wheel and moves with it. But apparently the clamshells were a lot more common, weren't they? On the original actual Lotus cars, I think like the Series 1 got the cycle fenders, and 2, 3, and 4 all got clamshells, right?
I think it was an optional thing, but the ones that came to the US I think were a lot more so originally they had the cycle fenders, and somebody thought the American market would want the clamshell fenders.
Yes.
So I mean, these are all kits that you order, so you probably just order it however you wanted. But
And here in the United States, we hate it when people assume what we want, and we are contrarians and will go the other way.
No, Alex. We hate it when the British assume what we want.
I mean, you're both right. So anyway, just some minor specs about this absolutely tiny car. Wheelbase was 7 feet and 4 inches.
Ooh.
So that is
88 inches.
yeah, which honestly is not super short. I think that's what my MR2 is, but it had effectively no overhangs, and
Right.
the engine and the entire passenger compartment were within that 88 inches.
Right.
Yeah.
The
You are
overhang
sitting on the axle, essentially. You're like 10 inches ahead of the head of the axle center line, if that.
And the back of the engine is probably somewhere about your shin or your knee. Yeah. So they're very small. Front track, 3 foot, 11 inches. So that's, is that 40? Wow. So that's 47 inches.
So this would fit in the 10 foot by 4 foot by 4 foot box that Lynn Lord specified for the Mini.
Uh-huh.
Yeah. Wild.
Overall length was 10 foot 3 inches.
Ah, so close.
Well, I mean,
That's the length of the Mini too.
Yeah.
But this was a front engine rear wheel drive car, which by its design is not an efficient effective.
but wasn't
Yeah.
that part of the Mini's requirement though? 4 seats.
4 passengers, right?
Yeah.
So that's the thing. It fits in the same box, but it is why it's not as efficient a packaging in terms
Right.
of space.
They weren't meant for the same use.
Nope.
Not even close. So the last one that I found the most interesting as far as dimensions was the scuttle height is how you measure the overall height of the vehicle, because the windshield is frequently two little half moons of plastic or glass. So the entire scuttle height is 27.5 inches.
Yeah.
So if you roll over, that 27.5 inches is all that's the frame of the vehicle is going to take up, and everything above that when you roll over is going to be your body. Hence why maybe you just shouldn't bother with seatbelts.
Did the early ones have a roll bar or a hoop? Because I feel like that's
don't
generally
think so.
something you see as a roll hoop on them.
Oh
as
yeah,
Well, now.
Now,
Yeah.
I mean, yeah.
I don't.
Wusses
I don't think the
gotten
original.
soft.
I don't think the original ones necessarily had that.
Did we talk about what kind of suspension they had?
We've not.
No, I think it was based mostly on the original donor. No, that's not right. That was the 6. The Mark 1 had a solid front axle from the Austin 7. So these would have come with long like A-arms for the front end, and then the rear would have been
To Dion, usually, I think.
well, no, it was the solid
solid
axle.
axle. Well, right,
The,
but
the
yeah.
D Dion was common at the time, but I remember reading something that Chapman said, since A, this wasn't specifically a race car, and B, it was meant to be a kit, that just using something that was more commonly available, like a solid axle, was fine.
Right.
So a solid axle with like a 3-link or 4-link setup.
To be perfectly honest, I read a lot of history stuff, and I didn't.
Yeah, no, that's okay. We can.
My wife was out of the country for a week. My brain failed hard. So
I know the continuation stuff, if it's got a solid axle, it's usually a 4-link.
yeah.
And there's
it's
not
coil
enough
springs.
movement. There's not enough movement to worry about,
Well,
really locking it down,
and there's no way it was leaf springs, because the overhang past the axle was measured in inches.
Yeah.
So unless you were going to run like one of those weird half leaf spring pack
Quarterlies.
things.
Yeah.
So no, the front was double A arm. I assume it used knuckles from whatever various donor that it came from. No, I kind of dropped the ball on that one,
That's
but
not a big deal. I just didn't know if that was one that I missed or what kind of suspension it had. We know because Chapman was involved that whatever suspension it had, he famously tried not to let it work.
yes, yeah, there probably wasn't a whole lot of movement in it. So kind of the last thing that I had prepared, but was very pertinent based on my exposure to this vehicle, was the replica community.
Right.
So reproduction units from Caterham, who own the rights, as well as literally dozens of companies worldwide that make either full kits or parts, or they'll sell you a whole car or whatever. And they range all over the place as far as expense and completeness, all sorts of stuff. So let's see. Yeah, so companies have had kits that will put basically any engine you want into it from the factory. So you'll have ones that are specifically designed to run motorcycle engines, or I've seen Miata drivetrain and suspension components is a really popular one.
Especially here.
Yeah.
Because that's our rear-wheel drive 4-cylinder car that you can
Right.
actually find.
Right.
Yeah.
Plus, it's 100 horsepower. It's got an independent rear suspension. Like, it's a great donor vehicle for this sort of thing. S2000s were a thing as far as engine donors. So that's, once again, 240 horse or so. And
The GM high-feature V6.
yeah, we're getting there. Yeah, what is that?
Brunton.
Brunt.
Although I think they've gone to either S2000 stuff or K-Series Honda stuff. Or they do LS things now.
Which company was it?
Brunton.
Brunton? I think
Brunton
the last
Stalker.
one I thought was the Stalker.
Well,
was
it may have
LS.
diverged. They may have said, well, a V6 sucks, so here's a 4-cylinder, here's a V8.
Right. So
Yeah.
there were companies that were using the GM 3400, whatever, like the 9 million versions of that high feature, right? High feature. I don't know, high value. High value. because GM loves to.
Just call it the 2.8 and be done with it.
Well, and it was the 2.8, and then
Yes, but it's all a 2.8.
sure, but
There's never enough displacement to bother calling it not a 2.8.
The only thing we know for sure is that it's not an Iron Duke.
And
it
it
has
needs
6
intake
cylinders.
Right,
gaskets.
exactly, yeah.
well, okay, you say that, but the intake gaskets will
Yeah,
totally.
it needs intake gaskets.
GM used that engine all the way into the late 90s,
Oh, yeah.
and the
No, it was the mid-aughts that you could get at the 3.
Oh, sorry, I meant late 2000s.
Yeah, the Malibu had it right up until...
the G6.
Yeah.
But they made a 240 horsepower version of that motor. It had some fancy intake stuff. The GTP G6, whatever.
OMG, WTF,
Yeah,
BBQ.
right.
Some fancy intake stuff like superchargers,
No.
like VVT.
Yeah, it had
Variable
VVT,
valve,
and it has this like weird, kind of like ram's horn style intake. It's kind of neat. Anyway,
They would
Company.
extrude hone it while you drove. It actually had a reservoir for crushed walnut shells, and if you needed a little extra power, you'd press a button and it was...
Put a quarter in and crank the knob.
Yeah,
wow.
just refrain from tasting it.
Oh God.
It's so easy to throw him off his game. All he's thinking about now is tasting the knob.
I'm just wondering why I do this.
Oh, tastes funny.
So, but then, yeah, there have been American companies that will put V8s in them, or anybody in between. So they'll sell you a frame, they'll sell you parts. So
So why did it get real popular again around 2001?
I don't know. Tell me, with your encyclopedic brain.
Well, that's when I got into him. Because a guy in England named Ron Champion
Oh yeah,
wrote a book called Build Your Own Sports Car for as little as 250 pounds, subtitled, and race it. And basically he was giving you a blueprint for, step one, go to
Yep.
your breaker's yard, buy a Ford Escort, broken Ford Escort. And for him, he's like, also, if there's a van there, cut the side off of it because that sheet of aluminum will make a good floor. Then you need to mold a nose cone, and that's something you should look elsewhere. And he's like obviously showing a nose cone he bought from Caterham. And I'm like, Ron, I think you're full of shit, but this is a great idea. He gave you blueprints to weld up a chassis. And the idea was he built one with his 16-year-old son for his son's first car. And that was the single donor that everybody used in England because it was the equivalent of the Miata here. It was a rear-wheel drive manual transmission 4-cylinder car that was everywhere.
This is the Escort that
Yes,
was
the British Escort,
The British
yes.
Escort, which
Up through the mid 80s over there, it was rear-wheel drive.
yeah, and we know here as the Merkur XR4 Ti, that same chassis.
That's a Sierra. That's one step bigger.
Oh, okay.
So
Okay,
they're
that's
the
different.
Escort. I think it was on the same chassis we got here as the Capri in the 70s
Got
and
it.
early,
Okay.
up through the early 80s. Yeah.
I think that may have actually.
It may have been
one
bigger
step
too. Yeah, I don't know.
I don't think we ever got
Okay.
anything analogous. That
Ford in England. Ford England stayed true to the rear wheel drive religion right up until like the Escort over there became front wheel drive in like 87 or 88. Like we'd had front wheel drive economy cars here for a long time. But yeah, that book was. There was no way you were going to do it for 250 pounds, but
No.
it like fired a revolution of people who are like, yeah, I can build this. Yeah, I'll go buy a MIG welder. Yes, I'll do this, even if I'm trying to plug it into my rental duplex with 100 amp service and I blow every breaker in the house whenever I try to weld. No, I can't weld. I'm going to put this welder away. Guess what I did in 2004?
This is starting to sound like
Oh, I was all in.
experience.
I was like crawling the low cost forum. The low cost was essentially
Yeah.
what they called it.
That's
And
what I
Yeah.
that's how I'm familiar with it. It was the phenomenon that in my
Yeah.
mind is the low cost, LOCOST.
Yep.
and it's still a thing. It is not quite the phenomenon it was, but still had that welder. Hell, I got wrecked Miatas.
Well,
Yeah.
I purchased a wrecked Miata to fix a wrecked Miata, and knowing that everybody told me that I'd be able to sell it easy when I took the front body work off of it to somebody who wanted to use it as a low-cost donor or a Lotus 7 replica donor, and that's exactly what I did.
I bought a Toyota Corolla GTS that was rusted beyond all recognition as a drivetrain donor, and then a couple years later, I sold it to a guy who wanted to restore it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You've mentioned that on the podcast
Yeah.
before. So I went on a similar journey 6 years later. I bought, so for the American market, this guy named Keith Tanner, who is famous for his involvement with the company Flying Miata, if anybody has modified Miatas. He's done a bunch of racing. Seems like an interesting guy. He wrote a book called How to Build a Cheap Sports Car based on using an American Miata to do the same thing. So I had that book. I lent it to somebody many years ago and have never seen it again, unfortunately.
You need to go beat it out of him because it's worth $250
I
now
know.
that it's out of print.
If I remembered who
You don't
it
remember who-
was, it may be you.
I don't think it was.
If you find it, it's
I
mine.
will bring it back to you, but I am 99% certain I've never seen it because I keep looking for it and
Yeah.
it's out of print.
Nah.
The coolest thing about Keith Tanner, who I've never met but has been a constant fount of information on grassroots motorsports, he has a lab coat that he wears in all his YouTube videos, all the Flying Miata YouTube videos. That lab coat is embroidered with the words Professor Batshit. It is the best thing in the world. And I aspire to someday own a monogrammed article of clothing that's that cool.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
And it's one of those things. Like, it was an interesting book, but if at this point, I don't think most people would find it. It's an interesting piece of history, but not necessarily something that's going to help you build a car any more than you learning the basics yourself and using the tools that are available now to anybody who has access to the internet.
SolidWorks and such.
Yeah.
Well, the thing is, you don't need to reinvent the wheel because in like 2005, a guy named Jim McSorley developed like
Is that the guy on the West Coast?
maybe. I don't know, but he developed like 4 different low-cost frames.
Uh-huh.
No, you're thinking of Kinetic Vehicles.
Yes.
And I cannot remember the guy's name. But yeah, Jack something.
Yes.
But he is the parts hookup now for American low-cost,
Yeah.
what do you need? Because he's got it. And
Yeah, he'll sell you frames
he'll
and
sell
everything.
you kits, he'll sell you frames, he'll sell you body work. He is the hookup for it. No, this is a guy who I think was a grad student at the time who just went in like SolidWorks and designed not just, so here's an original Lotus 7 frame. Here's your cut list. Here's what you need. Here's a Lotus 7 frame if you are 5'10".
Right.
And can fit in it. Here's a Lotus 7 frame if your fat ass is 6'1" and 250, and you need not just a little extra length for your long ass legs, but you need to be able to squeeze your fat ass into it. Yeah. And it's called a 442 because it's 4 inches longer, 4 inches wider, and 2 inches taller. Not because it's a 4-barrel, 4-speed dual exhausts, but it is. But I'm like, okay. And they actually now make. You can go to Kinetic Vehicles and buy the body parts to fit a 442.
Yep.
Which someday I might do. I don't know.
Yeah, I was
Sit by the
researching this thinking like, Alan has a wrecked Miata. Maybe I should try and do this.
Is that why I sold you that wreck Miata?
No.
I don't remember what you were going to use it for.
Starlet.
It was
the Starlet, wasn't it?
I
Yeah.
still have the subframes too,
Yeah.
which may still get used for that.
That'd
But
be a good call.
no, anyway, so I've been down the same path. I learned about this car 15 years ago. It's actually how I got introduced to my now brother-in-law. We were talking about making a set of 3, and
It's a meet cute.
yeah, right. Thanks.
I mean, I remember he was your gearhead buddy before he was your brother-in-law. But
Right.
yeah.
No. And instead we decided to try and start a company making motorcycle parts, and that it didn't end up working out, but whatever. But no, this is sort of one of my bucket list vehicles, and it's one that you can buy one, but it's probably best to build it. On the other end of that, though, we've talked about Caterham some. Caterham still exists as a company. They still make these vehicles. You can still buy a kit all over the world. Have it sent. Yeah, Caterham USA
I didn't
exists.
get one here.
Yep. And they will ship it to your house, and you can spend 200 hours with their incredibly detailed manual assembling it. Maybe not even 200 hours. Maybe it's like 60 hours.
They built one like on Top Gear, they built
Yeah.
one in a day.
No, I know.
With the three of them. Yeah. The two of them plus.
So you could
Clarkson
do it in
fucking
4
things up.
hours if
Yeah,
there was just
right.
one of you.
Like if Clarkson is not things up, you could
Yeah.
probably get it together by yourself by lunch.
I also think that they probably had ghost
They
mechanics.
probably have a
Probably
little
cheated,
help.
yeah.
What?
Yeah, I know.
We've been over this before.
I
Top
know.
Gear is the pinnacle of automotive journalism purity.
Point being, though, is that if you're reasonably mechanically inclined, you can go give Caterham 30 grand and they will ship you a kit that then you just drop a drivetrain into. Because what they send you is going to include everything.
And they will sell you a full car too, but I don't think you can get a full car in America. I don't think any of them are.
I think it's one of those things like we talked about with Superformance.
Yeah.
Is
They'll also mail a powertrain module to you,
Yeah,
and then
a
you put it in
different-
yourself.
yeah,
As long as it's 49% finished.
No, I think they can sell a rolling chassis and then they send it across the street to a distinct business unit that has no legal ties to
Right.
the one that's on this side of the street where they put in an engine. But
Wink.
in the UK, you can just go buy a car, and the range that they have of cars is wild for what is effectively the same car.
Do you want an 80 horsepower Suzuki Triple?
Yep.
That's where it starts.
So they use a K vehicle engine, so 660cc, 3-cylinder, makes 84 horsepower. That's the introductory car, and that's about 40 grand. The peak engine available, however, and I would assume this chassis is substantially more rigid, because if it's not, that would be terrifying, is a Ford I almost call
Duratec.
it. Yeah, it's a Duratec. It's
Yeah.
not an EcoBoost though. It has a supercharger. It's not direct injected that I'm aware of. So it's the engine that Ford used in every 4-cylinder car for like 15 years, but it's a supercharged version and it makes 350 horsepower. So, and it'll do 150 miles an hour in something that's the shape of a brick.
Yeah.
That's terrifying.
Yeah, that would be.
That's always been the Seven's downfall on a race course is at actual speed, the aerodynamics are hilariously terrible.
Well, and correct me if I'm wrong, but even modern day use case of this car is not super ultra high speed, high performance.
No.
It's, hey, I feel like I'm going really fast
Yeah.
because I'm in this tiny car that's sitting low and it can handle like it's on rails. So yeah, 150 miles an hour I would think would be pretty terrifying in something that's basically you're basically wearing this car.
Yeah, it is really the closest thing to a motorcycle that you can get with 4 wheels. I don't know if anything has ever been more motorcycle-y than a Lotus 7. At least not in what I would consider
Recently.
modern vehicles.
I bet we'll have some listeners give us some examples. That'd be great.
Yeah. I mean, I drove a Lotus Elise one time. That was pretty much like what I would assume is a modern version of this. But at the same time, it wasn't nearly as exposed as I imagine this is.
Yeah. The Elise is. What's the Elise?
It's 2-door, rear-wheel drive, mid-engine,
Yeah.
190 horsepower,
Fairly-
1,800 pounds.
Fairly. Yeah. I'm picturing it.
2004 to 2020.
I was
here,
going to
like,
describe
yeah.
it as a dune buggy.
No,
Joking.
not quite.
It's
No,
a doom buggy.
Yeah, no, I was just gonna try to describe it, but I realized I was at a loss for words on how to if it's what I think it is.
But in the U.S., you can get one of these for 50 grand with the naturally aspirated 4-cylinder Duratec in it. So 150 to 180 horsepower, weighs, I don't know, 1,400 pounds probably.
You can really get that for $50,000?
The kit,
Okay,
I would
a
assume
kit,
that you got to
okay.
do another 10 grand to get it, but maybe not. Maybe that is out of the door because they're including that you're not going to assemble this yourself, and because they sell them like it's on the website. It tells you I got my pricing off of the UK website because in the US they said inquire. So I suspect it's because you have to buy a rolling chassis and then send it across the street to not Caterham.
You
to
gonna pay that chicken tax,
Well, it's not even chicken tax. It's not a truck, but
isn't it? I mean, that's how they get around the fuel economy regulations. It's a light truck.
up to 60 miles an hour, this thing's going to get 40 miles to the gallon or more. And it's only going to do that poorly because it's literally the shape of a brick. So anyway, that's it. That's what I got. I think they're really cool.
Yeah, that's.
Oh, they've made several Matchboxes. I couldn't find any Hot Wheels.
How about motorsports? Do they race these?
No, none.
extensively.
No,
Strictly a street car.
Only for the street.
They've got like they've got like I don't know what they call it, but spec low cost basically over in England. Like we have spec Miata, they have like go find it. Well, they did. I don't know if they still do, but go find an Escort, cut it up, put it together, and let's go racing. Which is a neat idea.
I suspect that you will find these everywhere, but most governing bodies are going to classify them in the same way that you classify just a custom tube chassis vehicle. So they're going to get stuck in a really weird class or not be allowed to run at all.
I was starting to think, what class do these get classed in at an SCCA regional event or something like that for road racing?
Yeah. They're going to get probably stuck in the same class as like a Corvette with a tube chassis. It's just wearing a plastic
D-mod or
hat.
E-mod.
Yeah.
If you're autocrossing, I don't know what they'd put you in on the road course.
It's not a car that you build and run to be competitive, more
No.
for the experience. Unless there was enough of a group that you could have your own class. But then again, they're so varied in build.
Yeah.
So one guy wants more power than the other guy, so he puts a different engine in it. That would be,
Yeah, so I'm sure they get raced all the time, but I don't think that, they wouldn't have been allowed to be in any sort of rally series because those are all production-based vehicles. The British trials was what kicked them off, and I imagine that they were used a lot in that.
right.
But it's going to be all just weird little stuff like the British version of autocross, which I don't remember what it's called, but it's in a very tight parking lot.
Gymkhana.
Sure.
Yeah.
But you end up doing a lot of donuts and reverse driving into parking spaces and all sorts of crazy shit. If you haven't seen it, it's ridiculous. Because all I'm seeing is like broken suspension components and running over curbs because these guys are like flipping their car around in a parking lot that's only got a handful of parking spaces in it because it's England. So it's only going to be small regional type stuff most of the time, I imagine. But yeah, it's just it has to be. I was going to say it has to be a safer version of riding a motorcycle, but no, it's not. It's not a safer version than riding a motorcycle.
The British actually call it auto dressage.
Ah, really? I mean, you were just on your phone. I don't
Yeah,
know
it's
if
true.
you looked it up.
Auto dressage. It's automotive horse dancing.
Okay.
It's not true. It's actually called Gymkhana or Auto Test. Gymkhana is actually an equestrian sport, so it is the autumn. It's I guess it's car Gymkhana.
Well, you said
But it's just-
dressage like I was going to know what that was, and I don't know horse people aside from Maggie.
I honestly assumed that Gymkhana was a German thing, but
I thought he was just some guy.
Gymn.
Jimkana. Gymkhana.
That's our sponsor this week. Brought to you by Gymkhana. It is.
The leading automotive dressage driver in the Upper Midlands.
Well, so here we are. We've talked about it. Would you guys own one?
Yes, I would. Like I will still build one someday. I will go to my grave claiming I will still build. like I will be like somebody hand me the welder and they'll be like, Dad, you're dying, and I'll be like, shut up and go get me some argon.
Now we've hit on it. I will go to my grave claiming I will build one of these. We found Alan's legal loophole.
Yep.
Okay.
I'll probably make something similar and put it under a starlet. because I already have the body for that. Like
Yep.
that's it. It's effectively a front engine rear wheel drive tube chassis anything, and the Lotus 7 body is just super easy to do. So that's part of the reason I think that they're popular for replicas is because they're easy.
You don't have to have a full metalworking shop to build one.
Or pull fiberglass because the only pieces you need are the front cone, nose cone, and the scuttle dashboard thing. And you can buy those. Like there's tons of companies around the world that will sell you those. So yes, but no.
Right.
Like I've looked at them extensively in the past, and something that has real windows and a roof is probably more appealing.
I'm with you there.
Yeah, I know.
So when it comes to if I would buy one or not, they're neat. I want to drive yours if you get one.
Oh, yeah.
And if I haven't given up my license yet, by the time Alan gets around to building one, I'd take a lap in his. And I do think they would be fun. I bet if I got behind the wheel of one, I'd be bit. I'd want to get one. On the other hand, the prices we're talking about aren't that much different than
A Cobra.
a Cobra.
I know.
The thing is, if you build, you don't need a kit. They are 100% buildable from scratch by somebody with our skill set. And you don't, like, there were places you could buy the chassis, and I think there still are. If you just want to buy a chassis and adapt it, I mean, you can do that. And it's the place that used to sell them, you could buy the chassis and all the suspension members and stuff for, $3,000-$4,000. Or at least like a pre-cut set of, here are your tubes, put it together, build a jig, do it, you build it on a 4x8 table.
Yeah.
And a Cobra is, wow, it's hard to think of. It's hard to think of a Cobra as more practical than anything, but it is more practical than this.
As you guys know, the Cobra is a benchmark for me because I drool over him, and I'm looking at a Super 7, a 7, a
It's
Caterham.
dorky comparatively.
No, I'm just looking at the two of them. Like, I'd rather have for similar. Well,
It's
for
not
similar
similar money,
purposes and similar.
It's the
Okay,
thing.
it's not similar money.
No.
I'd still rather have a Cobra.
Yeah,
But
yeah.
and so I would probably. There are other things that I would rather have. So I don't see going out and looking for or building one of these.
So I have kind of followed this market some over the years for used ones. And of course, being what it is, they're all over the place.
Oh yeah.
But you can get one that seems well assembled, that maybe isn't fully finished, like it still needs some work, but it's drivable for $10,000 to $12,000.
Yeah.
A nice one's $20,000. So it's,
A nice sorted one is 20.
yeah.
And there are a bunch of companies that built similar, like Maxton built the roller skate with a rotary.
Yeah.
I mean, and those are 12 to 15, and those are, it's 90% of the Cobra experience, and you don't care because it doesn't have 8 cylinders, but it's 90% of the Cobra experience for half the money, basically.
I agree. I agree with you there. As I just said, it's not a car for all-out speed. It would be scary to go as fast as you could make them go.
I mean,
you're going to have
Cobra's
Cobra's
going to
same
be
way.
just going to
Yeah.
be as terrifying.
You've never heard the Bill Cosby bit?
I understand. Who?
we don't talk about him.
We don't talk about. So years ago, there was a comedian. Let's call him Kilbusby, and he did a bit about talking to Carroll Shelby, another man that we just cannot stop talking about. It's like Chapman versus Shelby. That's the thing. If we have the fertilizer salesman bracket that we all want to do, it's just going to come down to Colin Chapman versus Carroll Shelby.
Well, we got to have an Italian in there somewhere.
Malcolm
There's a few.
Oh
Strickland
no,
is
there'll be
looking
plenty
up
of them, but they're all going to go out early.
Okay.
The winner is, it's going to be Tiny Englishman versus Tiny Texan. I mean, any hoodles. I forget where I was going with this.
Was he demanding to test drive the big block car? Is that where you're going
No,
with that? That's
he
a
wanted to
different-
buy a 289 Cobra, and Shelby sold him a 427.
Oh.
So the skit is called 200 miles per hour. And you, Mr. 30 years, born 30 years too late, will love this skit. Because it is just him, getting in this car with Carroll Shelby and deciding he doesn't have enough, cojones or clean underwear to actually operate this vehicle. It's solid. Came out like 1967. Yeah. Like all your music.
Well, I back to that. I don't think I'm probably going to go looking for one. It's not been on my radar other than just tangentially. And honestly, I'd cheap out and just drive an Miata, and not cut it up to build one of these. I'd just have a whole lot of fun in it.
You say cheap out. How much does an Miata cost? Like,
I don't know.
one that you would want to keep.
I don't know, but I wouldn't spend 2 years building it.
That's true. But like $10,000 to get into an Miata is not uncommon anymore.
Yeah. But you
That
got to
gets
buy
you a nice one. But
Yeah.
Assuming you're using that for a donor for your other
no,
one.
no.
You know what I mean?
That's the thing.
There's still $3,000 and less ones that are going to be more appropriate for this. They're fewer and fewer every year.
I know they are getting.
But yeah, a lot of them
Sad.
are the nice ones. And given the way that things are going, buying a nice Miata today for $10,000 is going to be a $20,000 Miata, dollar Miata in 10 years or less.
That's what I'm operating on. That $200 Miata I bought like 6 years ago is now worth at least $400.
Oh yeah,
I am in the money.
I'll give you 5 right now.
I
$550.
am not even gonna think about it. It's a bidding war.
So it's worth more than that.
It probably is,
Yeah.
actually. Yeah.
Yeah.
Like it was, even when I bought it, $200 was absurdly cheap for a Miata parts car.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, it was. And it was a good buy.
I mean, I
That's-
don't know.
think-
It's so to me, it's like, do you consider working on this and building it to be part of the draw, or would you rather, or is building it and working on it something that you go through so you can drive it?
Right.
And I'm not saying either of these is right or wrong.
Right, yeah.
Is right
No,
is a
that's
correct
good.
or wrong
That's a
approach.
good way of looking at it.
Because there are days where even if it's something that I want to drive, it's like I don't want to work on it.
Yeah.
And then there are days where I'm like, all right, let's figure this out. This is why I do this. I enjoy being in the garage and actually doing this.
That's a funny phenomenon. I'm with you there, and I agree. And I have sold cars for having something wrong with them that I'm perfectly capable of fixing and just don't
Me too.
want to. And I have totally purchased vehicles, projects. It's like, all I have to do is this one major fix, and then I've got this operational vehicle.
But you
I'm
sold
in.
a car for the same problem before. Brother, I am in this situation because I stare at this BMW and I'm like, fuck, all it
Yeah.
needs is a battery and some wiring and cleaning up. And then I'm like, but I got this Miata and all it needs is a battery and some wiring and some cleaning up and chasing the shorts. And I'm like, Yep.
Oh, chasing shorts.
Ooh, boy.
Not a euphemism. Brought to you by Chasing Shorts and Serious Grinding. Yeah.
I tried a new, just speaking of buying and selling stuff, and you've doubled your money, you think, on your Miata by now. I tried a new sales tactic while selling a boat this past week, and I put down the facts, and I said a price, and I said, if it's not worth that price, I'm just going to keep enjoying it and hang on to it until it is. And it sold in about 48 hours, so I guess it was worth that to somebody, but I was a little surprised it went that fast,
Yeah.
but,
But no fuss, no muss. You got what was appropriate to you.
I
and
put a price on it that I was like, this might be a little high, but it's not crazy.
Yeah.
And I would feel good about not having it anymore if I had that much
Yeah.
cash to
Put
put
into other
towards
projects.
concrete
Yeah.
in my barn so I can work on other projects. And I just figured, well, I probably might own this for another year or two, but
So how many boats are you going to have to sell to actually make enough money to put the concrete in you want? I'm afraid to ask because I know you've probably priced it by now as to what it would take to
haven't.
concrete.
I
it,
haven't.
but-
I have a number in my mind of what it'll take, and that's probably still too short. Well, speaking of, I think, being born too early or too late, and we talked a little bit about music earlier.
He's
We've
going to
talked.
give us another Janet Dean song, isn't he? He's just leading into it.
I
Oh my
am
God!
not. I'm going to go the other way, and you guys know what
C.W. McCall.
No, you guys. Yeah, well, that's a good one. We'll get there.
drive and Smokey on my tail.
We'll get there. That'll come up eventually. But the musical assignment for, and you guys don't need this assignment, it's for our listeners, is to go on YouTube and watch the video or wherever you watch videos for Pump the Brakes by Dom Dalla. Domdolla.
It's fantastic.
Pump the Brakes. It is a song that I enjoyed before seeing the video, and a year later I saw the video and I'm like, I have not been alive until this moment. It's the funniest damn video I've seen in a while. It's now my version of a Rickroll for you guys or anybody else. I just bring it up and spam you with it. But for the listeners, give it a watch. It's the important part.
So, similar vein, born too late, well, arguably. Were you aware that about 14 years ago, like now, when all three Beastie Boys were still alive, they made a continuation video for Fight for Your Right to Party? And it is almost a half an hour long, and it has cameos from everybody.
Okay.
Including like a dance-off between... It winds up being the past Beastie Boys who are not the Beastie Boys, and the future Beastie Boys who are not the actual Beastie Boys. There is a DeLorean.
Okay.
There's Will Arnett. There's there's Stanley Tucci is in a Beastie Boys video with Susan Sarandon, and I'm like, what the hell? This may be the best thing I've ever seen. I don't know how it completely slipped past my consciousness for a full decade plus, but it popped up on YouTube, and I'm like, wait, what? Oh my! And it is amazing.
All right. Well, we have our musical homework for the week, which one's a car song and the other one has a DeLorean in it. So we're going to call that a car song as well. Well, yeah. Pump the Brakes is definitely a car guy video and fantastic. Just can't get enough of it. So with that said, I think we can wrap it up now, and I can remind everybody to stay fresh, cheese bags.
Keep sharing. Thanks to the people who have done that. Appreciate you guys.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I've had a couple friends start listening recently.
Yeah.
Like with the Opel GT episode. And I'm like, yeah, it was all right. You never want to start on a Jordan episode.
I knew that's where he was going.
It's like a Vance and Coy. A Shemp.
Wait, what?
Vance and Coy was the Dukes of Hazzard whenever John Schneider and Tom Wopat, for whatever reason, for a season or something.
Oh, that's right.
They went
the
off to run the
replacements.
NASCAR circuit.
Yeah, they were the replacement. They were Shemp and Shecky Hazard. Yeah.
Vance and Coy.
Duke. Yeah. Shemp Duke.
How old are you guys?